Dominaria United Spoiler Season Day 2 Sundays. Okay, it's not Sunday. I don't know why I decided to do that, like announcer voice kind of thing or whatever. Yeah, if you haven't seen my episode on Defiler Vigor from earlier today, make sure you check that one out. It's a very, very powerful new green card. Very well might be a new green staple for some decks out there, but don't leave just yet, because this episode, I don't even have words for what this commander could mean. So just, oh my, heck yes, let's get going. So Tetsuo, Imperial Champion, is a 3/3 human samurai for blue, black, red. And this is, well, a spicy Grixis commander. Here we go. When it attacks, if it's equipped, choose one. Tetsuo deals damage equal to the highest mana value among equipment attached to it to any target. So that's nice, and we'll talk about some exciting things that you can do with that, but more importantly, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the highest mana value among equipment attached to Tetsuo without paying its mana cost. Yeah, anytime I see you may cast something that costs whatever or less for free, my mind gets going and, well, basically just churning with all the different ideas and all the different spicy implications from this. Now, obviously, the requirement to get this trigger is quite low. You just have to have any kind of equipment attached to this. It does not matter what it is. Now, where it does matter, obviously, is, how well that trigger is going to perform for you. Obviously, if you've got, a tiny equipment attached to it that just costs, a single mana, then cool, okay, you can ping something for one, which, and I will talk about ways to actually make that, still one damage be very beneficial. But obviously, in the vast majority of situations, for the vast majority of builds around this, you're probably going to want, some pretty big equipment attached to this. So, yeah, one direction you could take this commander is literally just Voltron, essentially, with a lot of equipment, and then you just get a ton of value out of those attacks. Either, dishing out extra damage to maybe take out some creatures in the way, or, just to actually, cast some instant sorceries for free for some extra value. Now, that's not the way that I'm going to be taking this commander, and we'll get to the exact way here in a bit, but let's just say my way really doesn't care which equipment is really attached to this commander. It can be any equipment that essentially costs, one or more. I really could not care less. But before we jump into that and the cards in this episode, make sure you keep in mind that in the description below, yes, down there, you can go check right now, there is a link to the list of the cards I'm talking about on this episode. So if you are interested in this commander like I am, and you're interested in building around this commander, keep in mind that you might want to maybe pick some of these cards up sooner rather than later, because, well, when a new exciting commander is spoiled, sometimes the cards that work well with that commander tend to go up in price sooner than later. And I think I've said that like multiple times now. Regardless, it's a quick take. Let's jump into it. So one of the first cards that came to my mind is Basilisk Collar, and this card helps out in quite a few ways. It's an equipment that costs a single mana, so again, with this, for your commander, again, that's only going to trigger, it still triggers, obviously, but it's only going to dish out one damage, or, you could cast something that costs one or less, essentially. But it does say equipped creature has Death Touch and Lifelink. So if you choose that first part on the trigger, where you're dishing out damage, that 1 point of damage counts for a ton, because this, again, it's your commander that's actually dishing out the damage, so since your commander has Death Touch, you are going to be taking out whatever creature on the board you want, essentially. And okay, yes, I know, indestructible, sure, okay. The vast majority of the time, you can pretty much take out any creature on the board. And of course, on top of that, obviously, lifelink is nice too, because you're obviously gaining life from that ping and also gaining life from hitting with your commander as well. So yeah, even a tiny piece of equipment like this one that just costs a single mana can be very beneficial. And again, with the way that I'm going to be building around this, 1 mana is just fine. We'll get to that here in a bit, right after we get to more equipment. because obviously there are a lot of fantastic pieces of equipment that just work in a lot of decks out there, and that can really work in this one too, like, Swiftfoot Boots, Lightning Greaves, Whisper Silk Cloak. All great ways to protect your commander. Swiftfoot Boots is, well, it was, I believe, less than $1 for a little bit, but now, unfortunately, I believe it's above $1. Reprint it again, Wizards, please! Anyway, Hexproof and Haste. So, yeah, I mean, that is a great way to protect your commander, and also to just attack right away to get that trigger. And again, if this is the highest mana cost, of all your things, ping something, for 2. That's shock damage, that's not terrible. And also, you can get a decent amount of value casting instant sorceries that cost 2 or less as well. Or how about a more expensive pair of boots with Lightning Greaves? Not more expensive mana-wise, but dollar-wise. You know what I mean. Anyways, equipped creature has Haste and Shroud, equip cost of 0. So yeah, again, protecting your commander, but also making it so that you can't target your commander, so keep that in mind. Again, if you are building, a Voltron-style deck, make sure you have another creature in play to attach this to, so you can actually, unattach it from your commander to attach other things. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck with just this on your commander. Regardless, still a great way to give your commander haste and protect your commander in a lot of situations. And also, again, with a equip cost of 0, keep in mind, obviously, that mana value does matter, but also the equip costs on these matter too. At the end of the day, you've only got so much mana to utilize. Regardless, next up, there's Whisper Silk Cloak, which says equipped creature is unblockable and equipped creature has Shroud. Now, this one obviously can help out in multiple ways. Again, protecting your commander with that Shroud, not as good as Hexproof, but still pretty nice. And also, being unblockable makes it so that your commander is protected in combat as well, helping your commander get through. Which obviously in a Voltron style strategy, great, deal additional damage, but just for any other strategy, really with this commander, it's like, okay, I can just know that I'm gonna swing out with my commander, and my commander is going to be fine in getting through. And of course, again, this has a mana value of 3, so yeah, being able to cast an instant or sorcery that costs 3 or less, there's a lot of them out there that apply to this. But going back down and protecting our commander in a different way, let's talk about Commander's Plate. At 1 mana, equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has protection from each color that's not in your commander's color identity. So obviously this protects your commander from 2 colors, and yeah, +3/+3 is pretty good as well. Can protect your commander in a lot of situations in combat. But, when it comes to actually just pumping your commander and just making your commander so large that it's, more difficult to actually take out in combat, Blackblade Reforged will do the job. Again, it's going to give equipped creature ++1 for each land you control. Again, depending on your strategy when you're building around this commander, of course you can utilize some lower to the ground equipment just to get things started, and then you might want to utilize some larger ones later, to really get the most out of that trigger, and we'll talk about those here in a second. But first, Conqueror's Flail. It says equipped creature gets ++1 for each color among permanents you control, so yeah, just including your commander, just with that's +3/+3, which can really help it out in combat. Another thing that can really help it out in combat, and actually with the strategy that I'm going to talk about here in a bit, is the next part though. As long as it's attached to a creature, your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. So outside of, blocking or activating abilities, your opponents really aren't going to be able to, interact while you're, swinging at them with your commander, so you know that your commander is protected at least from that. And of course, on top of that, your opponents can't really stop you from doing anything else, which leads to some shenanigans. But before we talk about some shenanigans, let's talk about some higher cost equipment with Hammer of Nazan, Embercleave, and Grafted Exoskeleton. Hammer of Nazan can be an incredible one with this command, or whenever it or another equipment enters the battlefield on your control, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. And on top of that, equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has Indestructible. So first up, this is a 4 mana equipment, which is a decent amount of value. Again, basically you can cast a Factor Fiction or a lesser spell essentially for free with this, which is fantastic. Oh, again, I should say on the swing. You know what I mean. Regardless, it also protects your commander, pumps your commander, and on top of that, makes it so that any of your equipment coming in are coming in attached for free. So then you don't have to worry about, high equip costs essentially, and you can just, suit your commander up with a ton of things, or, just a massive thing to make sure you get a ton out of that trigger. And speaking of massive things, how about Embercleave, which has, a mana value of 6, but of course you're going to pay less for it. It's got flash. It's going to cost 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control. When enters the battlefield attached to our creature you control, equipped creature gets ++1 and it has Double Strike and Trample. So this can help your commander hit really hard and again get a lot out of that trigger. Either, pinging something for 6 damage, which is a ton and can take out the vast majority of creatures out there, or, just ping a player in the face too. Why not? And then also, again, yeah, ++1, Double Strike, Trample. That's going to make your commander, even without anything on it, hit for 8. Which, of course, if you've got other things on like Blackblade Reforged, yeah, that's going to be an absurd amount. Speaking of absurd things, one really fun card to have on this commander is Grafted Exoskeleton. Grafted Exoskeleton says equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has Infect. Now, there is a downside to this. Whenever it becomes unattached from a permanent, sacrifice that permanent. Nevertheless, this can be a very fun card with this commander. Well, at least for you. Again, a 5/5 commander with Infect that is a 2-shot KO on any of your opponents. And of course, obviously, like we've seen before, there are plenty of other ways to pump your commander to make it into a 1-shot KO. But with this, you don't even actually need to get through with your commander. Again, let's say that you've got an equipment. I mean, even just this one, okay? With just Grafted Exoskeleton on your commander, it is just 3-shot KO on anyone, not even attacking that player. You literally can attack someone else and then have that damage that your commander can give out to hit another player, which would be 4 damage with Grafted Exoskeleton, right? And that is Infect damage, which is poison counters. So that player gets 4 poison counters, and you didn't have to swing at them. And of course, obviously, if you've got any equipment that attach to your commander that costs 5 or greater, you know, probably 5 or 6. There are a couple out there that are 7. Regardless, if you've got anything that costs 5 or greater, that's only 2 shots with your commander, essentially. So yeah, Grafted Exoskeleton is an incredible card with this commander. And again, outside of dishing out that damage and all the cool things that you can do with that, yeah, I mean, again, just casting spells for free is always going to be very powerful. I mean, just think about cards like Frantic Search, Relentless Assault, or Demonic Tutor. If you've got, you know, any kind of equipment on your commander that costs 3 or more, great, let's cast Frantic Search for free. Draw 2, discard 2, untap up to 3 lands. So you just essentially cast a ritual, you know, basically, again, you're looting 2, and then you get to just untap 3 lands. So you just gain mana while attacking with your commander and getting extra, you know, card selection value from this, which is crazy. Speaking of extra value, now with this one, I believe you're going to have to be careful because I don't think if you cast Relentless Assault during combat, you'd get an extra combat, but please let me know in the comments below. Regardless, I mean, just keep in mind also extra combat cards. I mean, I believe there also is one that you can cast during combat, which give you an extra combat. I think it's Savage Beating. Regardless, extra combats with this commander can be incredible, getting that trigger twice. So please, please, please keep those cards in mind. But yeah, I mean, if you're playing, you know, any more high-powered game with this commander, Demonic Tutor. Yeah, I mean, that's an expensive card, but it's great for a reason. A tutor for just 2 mana, go get any card you want out of your library. And again, with your commander, with even just a basic, you know, Swiftfoot Boots or Lightning Greaves on your commander, you cast this for free when you attack. And of course, I mean, a more budget-friendly tutor like Diabolic Tutor, you can still cast for free. I mean, Solve the Equations, another more budget-friendly. It's still, I believe, out of my, you know, dollar budget for my decks. But still, go get any instant or sorcery card, reveal, put in your hand, then shuffle. Great, go get whatever card you want. And actually, I am bringing up another tutor that is not one that you're going to be able to cast your commander for free. But there's a reason behind it, because now we are getting to the part of the episode where I'm going to tell you how I want to build around this commander. And a card like Teleria West can help out with that. Because this has Transmute for 1 blue, which means that you discard it and search your library for a card with converted mana cost 0, reveal it, put in your hand, then shuffle your library. Transmute only is a sorcery. So a lot of decks out there might go get lands with this, but we don't want to go get a land. No, we want something much better. Because essentially, whenever I see a commander that says, hey, yeah, you can cast something for free from your hand that costs this or less, immediately what comes to my mind are, how can I use and abuse 0 mana spells with this? So, of course, I mean, some 0 mana spells are cards like, you know, Wheel of Fate, Ancestral Vision, and Profane Tutor, which don't have a mana cost, which means they basically, you know, have a mana cost of 0 essentially when being considered for these things. So you actually can't cast them just normally from your hand. You usually have to suspend them. I mean, Wheel of Fate, suspend 4 for 1 in a red. You gotta wait 4 turns to cast this. It's a fantastic card once you can cast it. It's basically, you know, a Wheel of Fortune. Each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. Or Ancestral Vision, which you know is obviously a call back to Ancestral Recall, which is a banned card for a reason. Suspend 4 for a blue. Target player draws 3 cards. Or how about another tutor with Profane Tutor, suspend 2 for 1 in a black. Go get any card in your library, put in your hand. Now, as cool as these cards are, yeah, there's one 0 mana spell that I pretty much love above all others, and that I really want to build basically any kind of a spicy deck around when I can, and this commander is definitely the kind of commander that is going to love this next card. Which, of course, is Inevitable Betrayal, which is an incredible card. Basically, Bribery as a 0 mana spell that you usually can only suspend. But now with this commander, it's like, nope, I attack with any equipment attached to it. Again, any equipment, I don't think there's any equipment out there that costs 0, but yeah, any equipment that costs 1 or more, you cast this for free from your hand. Search target opponent's library for a creature card, put it onto the battlefield under control, then that player shuffles. This is a lot of fun. Looking through a player's entire library and just saying, how do I beat this player with their own creatures? Oh my goodness, a Blightsteel Colossus? Yes, please. I mean, just think of the dream scenario. Maybe you've got an equipment that can grant haste, that you can get down pretty early. There's plenty of one-man equipment that can do that as well. And then, you ramp on turn 2, turn 3, cool. All right, let's get our commander out. Let's then attach that equipment to our commander. Then we swing, and then we just say, okay, inevitable betrayal. And then we go get Blightsteel Colossus on turn 3. And then our opponents are very, very scared and probably, going to be taken out quite quickly. Now, obviously, that is, again, a dream situation, the perfect kind of play that obviously is going to happen every time. Not every deck runs Blightsteel Colossus, but plenty of decks out there run plenty of powerful creatures, and this is a way to get them, and to take them, and to beat your opponents with their own creatures, which is so much fun. At least in my opinion, it's fun. My opponents might not think it's fun, but I think it's fun. And of course, with a deck built around this card, we're not just going to be casting it once. No, we're going to have plenty of ways to get it back from our graveyard, back to our hand, and then do it again, and again, and again. And speaking of again, and again, and again, we're going to copy it as many times as we can as well with cards like Increasing Vengeance, Repeated Reverberation, and Bonus Round. Increasing Vengeance is going to copy an instant sorcery spell, and if it was cast from our graveyard, because we can flash this back, we get to copy that spell twice. And speaking of copying something twice, well, Repeated Reverberation says when you next cast an instant spell, cast a sorcery spell, or activate a loyalty ability, who cares about that? Copy it twice. You may choose new targets for the copies. Or if you want things to get really crazy, how about Bonus Round? Until end of turn, whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, that player copies it, may choose targets for the copy. Now, obviously, this can be a little riskier because your opponents get their spells copied too, but yeah, why not just go for it? And of course, we've got some permanents that can help too with this, with Double Vision, Swarm Intelligence, Twinning Staff. Double Vision says, hey, you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, let's copy that for free. And then Swarm Intelligence says, hey, you know about that little clause but Double Vision has just the first spell? No, let's just copy every single one of your instant sorcery spells. So this obviously can get pretty absurd if you keep, casting copy spells, which then copy, and then Inevitable Betrayal, and then that copies, and copy. Speaking of which, Twinning Staff. If you would copy a spell one or more times, instead copy it that many times plus an additional time. Yeah, once you're set up properly, you can cast Inevitable Betrayal again, without basically doing anything except just attacking for an absurd amount of times, getting a lot of your opponent's creatures and having fun taking them out with their own creatures. Now, is this going to be the most common build for this commander? No. Probably not, but it's going to be fun, at least for me. But now as this episode is coming to a close, it's time for me to give you my final thoughts on Tetsuo Imperial Champion. Yeah, again, this commander can be built in a couple of different ways, and I'm sure players are going to be very excited to build around it in whatever way that, best suits them. Maybe a Voltron strategy. Again, you can just equip, big equipment to this and just swing, hit for a lot of damage. Also, either ping something for a lot or, get a lot of value out of casting massive spells for free. But again, whenever I see any kind of a commander that's like, hey, yeah, you can cast an instant or sorcery for this value or less for free from your hand, I'm like, okay, let's cast some uncastable spells for free. And of course, if you are interested in any of the cards I mentioned on this episode, including the very lovely Inevitable Betrayal, make sure you check out that link in the description below to the list of cards I talked about, because again, if players are excited about a brand new commander, cards that work well with that commander might go up sooner rather than later when they are spoiled. It does not always wait until, the actual commander comes out, in the actual product. So yeah, make sure you check that out. And of course, make sure you check out my other episodes during this spoiler season, and make sure you're staying tuned for even more quick takes and even more spoilers coming up. And with that, the show has come to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So make sure you comment below and let me know what your thoughts on this episode are. And as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.